Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, some viewers are beginning to believe that Amanda Sinclair is becoming more and more like Hilary Curtis. Has this cunning character change gotten out of hand? Fans of YNR will remember that while Hilary wasn't always a nasty person, she was undoubtedly willing to cause trouble and play dirty. Hilary was a formidable force to be reckoned with because she definitely didn't follow the rules. Since Hilary was eventually murdered off, YNR created a new character for her in order to bring Miss Hale Morgan back. Morgan made her debut as Amanda, who turned out to be Hilary's long-lost twin sister. Up until this point, Amanda has always been a bit more formal and bookish than Hilary. Amanda's principles have completely collapsed when she began working for Kane Ashby. Fortunately, Amanda is not as faithful to Kane as Carter was, who killed Damian Kane to give his boss the opportunity to reunite with Lily Winters. Carter was insane in his employment commitment there for a long, but he eventually turned on Kane. Despite her obvious misgivings about Kane's schemes, Amanda has nevertheless carried out his demands and engaged in dubious behavior. After all, Amanda was aware that the cell service signal had been purposefully jammed and that the visitors weren't actually stuck. While Kane was on that surreptitious trip to Genoa City, he even had Amanda keep the partygoers occupied. While Nick Newman was being held captive alongside Sharon Newman, Amanda also attempted to secure a chancellor deal with Nicky Newman. Furthermore, despite her worries about how things went wrong on Kane's land, Amanda is unwilling to release him. Amanda is naturally concerned about Kane's ongoing intentions for Genoa City because 3 people have died and he has made a lot of enemies. Amanda, however, has no intention of abandoning Kane and will continue to fulfill her obligations as his lawyer. Amanda refused to turn her back on Kane, even after she suspected him of killing Damian. The program almost seems to be attempting to change Amanda into a Hilary-like character because we're seeing a completely different side of her now. Given that Hilary was the more amusing of the sisters, that might be advantageous in certain respects. However, it's unfortunate to see Amanda abandon her former self in favor of the strange Kane allegiance. What are your thoughts on Amanda's character updates? Do you enjoy how Amanda has changed into a slightly darker person these days? According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, Amanda will continue to tackle shocking revelations and novel difficulties for Kane's benefit, so tune in. The transformation of Amanda into a character resembling Hilary has sparked intense debate among viewers, critics, and fans alike, with many questioning whether the writers have taken the scheming persona too far, blurring the lines between clever character development and an outright betrayal of the original essence of the individual we once knew. At first glance, the shift may seem like a natural progression, a way to keep the narrative fresh and the audience engaged, but upon closer inspection, the changes feel jarring, almost as if the character has been rewritten entirely rather than evolved organically. Amanda, once defined by her sharp wit, moral ambiguity, and a certain level of vulnerability that made her relatable despite her flaws, now mirrors Hilary's ruthless cunning, manipulative tendencies, and a near-complete lack of remorse, raising concerns about whether this transformation is a creative choice or a desperate attempt to inject drama at the expense of consistency. The parallels between the two characters have become impossible to ignore, with Amanda adopting Hilary's signature tactics, gaslighting allies, orchestrating elaborate schemes, and displaying a cold detachment that feels foreign to her earlier portrayals. While character arcs are meant to show growth, or regression, depending on the story's needs, this particular shift feels less like a natural descent into darker territory and more like a forced replication of Hilary's most extreme traits, stripping Amanda of the complexity that once made her compelling. One of the most troubling aspects of this transformation is the erosion of Amanda's moral code, however flexible it may have been. Earlier seasons depicted her as someone who, while certainly capable of deception, had limits, lines she wouldn't cross, relationships she valued enough to keep her worst impulses in check. Now, those boundaries seem non-existent, replaced by a relentless ambition that echoes Hilary's most destructive tendencies. Where Amanda once schemed with a purpose, whether for survival, protection, or even love, her actions now feel arbitrary, driven by a need to dominate rather than any deeper motivation. This shift not only undermines her previous development but also makes her far less sympathetic, reducing her to a one-dimensional villain rather than the nuanced anti-hero audiences once rooted for. The problem isn't that Amanda has become darker, television is full of characters who embrace their shadow selves, but that the darkness feels unearned, a sudden personality transplant rather than a gradual unraveling. Is Amanda morphing into Hillary? For longtime viewers of The Young and the Restless, the question isn't just rhetorical, it's an alarm bell. Amanda Sinclair, the poised, principled attorney who arrived in Genoa City with a mysterious resemblance to Hilary Curtis, her twin, as it turned out, has undergone a slow-burning transformation that's raising eyebrows. While Amanda once stood as the voice of reason in a town full of emotional chaos and impulsive betrayals, recent storylines suggest a deeper, darker shift in her character, one that mirrors the cunning, often ruthless nature of her late sister. At first, Amanda was the antithesis of Hillary, measured, ethical, and cautious with her words and actions. She valued justice, second chances, and truth. But over time, the distinction between the two women has blurred, especially as Amanda finds herself tangled in schemes, secrets, and morally questionable alliances that feel more like Hillary 2.0 than the woman viewers first got to know. The signs were subtle at first, small manipulations here and there, pushing legal boundaries for those she cared about, but as Amanda became more entrenched in Genoa City's web of lies and rivalries, something shifted. Her tone hardened. Her decisions grew colder. And her empathy seemed to fade, replaced by ambition, pride, and a thirst for control that eerily echoed Hillary's path before her tragic demise. The irony, of course, is that Amanda spent so much time trying to differentiate herself from her sister. When she first learned of their connection, Amanda was horrified, not just by the lies surrounding her birth, but by the legacy Hillary left behind. She was warned by Devin, Nate, and even Phyllis that Hillary's past was littered with broken friendships and manipulation. Amanda didn't want that. She fought hard to build her own name, her own relationships, and to heal from the abandonment she experienced as a child. But pain has a way of festering, and in Amanda's case, it's now expressing itself in dangerous ways. Some fans argue that the transformation was inevitable, that genetics, trauma, and the environment of Genoa City have worn Amanda down and rebuilt her in Hillary's image. Others believe the writers are deliberately recycling Hillary's character, using Amanda's face and name as a convenient shell to bring back that beloved chaos factor. In either case, Amanda is no longer the woman who once mediated conflicts with calm, who counseled Lily through prison guilt, or who tried to salvage Devon's broken relationships. Now, she's plotting in shadows. She's confronting people with veiled threats and using legal leverage not for justice, but for power. One glaring example of this change was her involvement in the Devon-Tucker-Mamie conflict. Amanda didn't just offer advice or act as a neutral observer, she chose a side and played it like a game of chess. Her words were sharp, calculated, and void of the emotional compassion that once defined her. And in her recent conversations with Nate, who is no stranger to moral ambiguity himself, Amanda's language mirrored Hillary's signature blend of flirtation and manipulation. It was as if the ghost of Hillary was speaking through her, rewriting Amanda's identity with each passing episode. Fans have noticed the wardrobe changes too, subtle, yet symbolic. Amanda's outfits used to reflect her professionalism, modest cuts, neutral colors, refined accessories. But lately, her fashion has grown bolder, her makeup more dramatic, her hairstyles more confident. It's not just a stylistic evolution, it's a visual metaphor for the internal metamorphosis. Even the way she moves through scenes has changed, there's a swagger now, a cool detachment that wasn't there before. Some viewers see it as strength. Others see it as a warning. Has Amanda truly become her sister in all but name? The comparisons are impossible to ignore. Hillary thrived on controversy. She relished conflict, whether it was through her GC buzz reporting, her romantic entanglements, or her backstabbing friendships. Amanda is now displaying similar patterns, subtle digs disguised as legal advice, passive-aggressive confrontations, and a willingness to risk integrity if the ends justify the means. One has to wonder if the writers are crafting a long-form identity crisis or if Amanda's descent into Hilary's shadow is more permanent. The psychological implications are compelling. How much of who we are is shaped by genetics? By nurture? By trauma? Amanda's discovery that she and Hilary were separated at birth, raised in different worlds, was supposed to underscore how environment can sculpt identity. But if both women, when placed in the same city, around the same people, become functionally the same person, what does that say about free will? Or the cost of survival in a city like Genoa? There's a deeper tragedy here too. Amanda never got to know Hilary as a sister. All she has are stories, mostly negative ones. But instead of rejecting that history, she seems to be absorbing it. Whether consciously or unconsciously, Amanda is morphing into the sister she never met, almost as if she's trying to reclaim Hilary's unfinished legacy. Is this Amanda trying to gain the love, respect, and power Hilary once craved? Or is she slowly losing herself in a persona that isn't entirely hers? Devon's interactions with Amanda have grown more strained in recent months. What started as a cautious, emotional connection built on trust and shared grief now seems like a volatile mismatch. Devon, who once found comfort in Amanda's calm wisdom, now seems unsettled by her sharp edges and unpredictability. He's lived this story before, with Hilary. And the last time, it ended in heartbreak. Amanda, for her part, seems aware of the comparison. But rather than resist it, she's embracing it. Her responses are sharper, her gaze unyielding, her choices less about healing and more about dominance. Even her friendship with Phyllis has taken a turn. Where Amanda once served as a moral compass to Phyllis's chaos, she now enables it. They plot together, cover for each other, and use secrets like currency. It's the kind of dynamic Hilary would have relished, and Amanda seems to be enjoying it just as much. There are viewers who appreciate this new Amanda. They argue that women in soap operas often fall into one of two roles, saints or sinners. Amanda's evolution complicates that binary. She's not a villain, not exactly, but she's no longer the pure-hearted lawyer who once served as a bridge between conflicting families. She's layered now, unpredictable, and dangerously clever. But does complexity excuse manipulation? And at what point does a character's evolution become character assassination? The debate rages on among fans. Some accuse the show of lazily recycling Hilary's persona to reignite drama. Others believe Amanda's transformation is a natural response to repeated trauma and betrayal. After all, Genoa City isn't a place for the weak. If Amanda remained passive and idealistic, she'd be chewed up and forgotten. Perhaps what we're seeing is her survival instinct kicking in. She's not becoming Hilary, she's becoming what Genoa City demands. And yet, there's something unsettling about how quickly her moral compass has been tossed aside. Amanda once fought for victims, for justice, for fairness. Now, she weaponizes the law, manipulates facts, and uses emotional connections as leverage. If Hilary was a storm, Amanda has become a silent earthquake, less flashy, perhaps, but equally destructive. And what makes it more tragic is that she seems to believe this is empowerment.